Welcome to the Leslie Hawkins podcast. Each week, my guest and I discuss one pivotal moment in their life, what they learned from it, and their words of wisdom. Our guest had built a career as a lawyer, and on paper, it checked every box. But something was missing. She had a lifelong love of sports, but the fandom industry was not built for the female fan. On a whim, she entered a week-long national AI hackathon. And while she knew nothing about coding, nothing about artificial intelligence, she pushed through her fear and won the whole thing. What came out of that experience was something the sports industry didn't know it was missing: the first predictive intelligence platform built to understand the female fan. Welcome to a conversation about pushing through assumed boundaries and building the thing you wished existed. Welcome to the Leslie Hawkins podcast. I am so glad that you are joining us here today. Please join me in welcoming today's guest, Ashima Chopra. So let me tell you a little bit about Ashima. So she is a lawyer, a sports strategist. I'm sure you're wondering what that is. You'll find out soon. And she is the founder of FanVerse. So Ashima, welcome. Glad to have you here.
So glad to be here.
So good.
Yes.
So this podcast is all focused on one question, which is, what is one pivotal moment in your life? And the reason that I ask that question is multifaceted, to be honest. One, it's universal. We all have pivots. Some are great and are controlled by us. Some are not so great and are sort of imposed on us. And what I've learned over the years is that through all those pivots, major or minor, that it shapes who we are. And it really shows up in the community that you surround yourself with, in how you carry yourself and what you learn about yourself. So I wanted to create this platform for people to come and share their stories, for the audience to hear some incredible stories and meet amazing people like yourself. And it has been an incredible journey, just learning people's stories and finding out how resilient, courageous, agile, incredible the human experience can be. So welcome.
No, I appreciate that. I love I mean I think it's a great question. I think also just that word of pivot. I don't think we talk about that enough.
No.
And I know for me, I used to get very much in my head about not having a linear path and having a lot of pivots and a lot of kind of transitions and figuring things out and experimentation in my life, and not seeing that as something that I valued. And something that was like, this is like, if I were to almost paint this picture or put this on a blackboard or whiteboard, like this would not be a measure of success, or this would not look like success, because having made so many pivots or having had so many transitions or something looking like it wasn't linear was just not, like, I mean, I think of oftentimes like what we hear in society about like how your life should look, or A leads to B leads to C. Correct. And like, this is how you're successful and this is where you should be. That really isn't what my life looked like.
No.
Yeah.
And that this whole formula that I think we grew up with, as young girls, I would say, is, once you graduate university, you start your career, then you get married, then you have some children, then you, right?
Yes.
And these are all the steps. And I mean, when I was in my late teens, I had it all figured out. I had it by timeline and everything was great, until all of a sudden I failed a class that I wasn't supposed to fail, until things didn't work out the way. And then all those micro pivots, I was nowhere that I expected to be at the time that I expected to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely relate to that. And I definitely resonate with that, because I think when I think about those micro pivots or even macro pivots or moments where like something went off or something changed or something happened that was outside of my control that I couldn't actually have planned for.
Right.
Those moments have been such deep moments of, I think, also just introspection. Like why did this happen? I think in those moments I often question myself, whether it was like it brought up insecurities or brought up, oh, I was so tied to this thing, i.e., if I do this thing or if I achieve this thing or accomplish this thing, therefore I am like worthy, lovable, deserving.
Right.
And it's like, wait a second, like that's not good. We need to unpack that.
Right.
And I think when those moments start to compound, like that's also something to look at, i.e., oh, am I doing this thing because someone else wants me to do it? Or am I doing this thing because I actually want to do it?
Right.
And this is actually aligned with my own authentic expression or like my work or what I want to put out into the world. And so, yeah, I think those moments and those pivots really do change us. And maybe if we're willing to like listen to it, because I think it can also, like, you can also go through certain pivots and kind of go back to the same old, or back to the normal or the ordinary or the standard.
Yes.
And even though life, is calling you to do more or be more, I think it's, oh my gosh, like there's so many moments that have been incredibly difficult and tough.
Yes.
To be like, there's nothing actually wrong with me. Like, what can I learn from this? And like, what is this actually trying to show me?
Right, exactly. And there's entire industry of therapists and psychologists out there that are there for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what would be one pivotal moment in your life?
Yeah. What would be one pivotal moment in my life? Like there's so many. Okay. Yeah. I like now being, even though I'm still less than a year into FanVerse, I often get asked the question, like, why did you start FanVerse?
Right.
Do you come from the sports space? Have you been involved in sports for many, many years? And I used to often get tripped up because I was like, I haven't been in sports for like a decade or 2 decades. I haven't really been in the industry. And I would do kind of this like deep dive as to like, what has my past, my experiences, my expertise look like? Because I did always feel the sense of like, everything is culminating or has culminated to why I started FanVerse.
Okay.
But what is that story? Like, what are those pivots that did lead me to this moment of starting and launching FanVerse? And I think for me, it's always been about this measurement or metric of belongingness. And like all the moments in my life where I didn't feel like I belonged or I felt like I was an outsider, and how in creating FanVerse it is to make women feel like they do belong, that they are fans, that they can experience fandom, and that their fandom can be valued and monetized and engaged with. And I think like ultimately for me, like one of the biggest pivots was, I think just after a few of my last kind of corporate gigs, which again, now when I look back, I'm like, all of them didn't work out for a reason, even though I was really trying my hardest to make it work.
Yes.
And to be like, no, this is the route. This is that safe, secure route. Like, do it. Everyone else is doing it. It seems to be working for everyone else. Like, why isn't it working for you? And I was like, this is just not aligned. Like, I don't want to practice law full time. why am I trying to fit myself into this mold, fit myself into this box that I clearly don't want to be doing? What else is there for me? And I think, you know, pivoting from law into VC as an investment manager and doing that for a little bit, like I just think all of these little pivots and moments of transition have led me to FanVerse, whereby this idea of like more than an idea now, but of entrepreneurship
Yes.
and of leading my own thing and of like breaking the norms and disrupting the way that we have built sports tools and think about data and analytics in sports media and entertainment. So much of my experience in law, in VC, in tech, in business has led me to this.
Yes.
So I feel like that pivot is really deciding for myself that I'm not going to choose the safe and secure route that everyone else wants me to do and wants me to take.
Yes.
I actually have to be an autonomous, sovereign human being and make choices and decisions for myself, knowing that not everyone else is going to agree with them.
Right.
And not everyone else is going to see them as something or some path that will lead to success or wealth.
Right.
And I think like all of those micro pivots led to that macro pivot of ultimately deciding to be a full-time founder.
Okay.
And yeah, and I mean, I would say like even, you know, transparently, like even to this day, sometimes I fall into that trap of like convincing of like, oh, did I make the right pivot? Like, did I make the right decision?
Yes.
Did I make the right choice?
Yeah.
But my gosh, like I was like, this is the thing that I'm meant to be doing.
You are in the right space.
You know?
You are
Yeah.
absolutely doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know what FanVerse is, maybe you can explain that
Yes.
and then talk about the origin, where FanVerse came from.
Yes. So we help teams across sports, media, and commerce learn, understand, engage, and monetize their female fans.
Okay.
We do that through fan intelligence. So not just showing you who a fan is, why they show up, what keeps them loyal, and what puts them at risk. We are all about decoding psychographic information on your female fans so that when it comes to your marketing strategies, your fan engagement strategies, your business strategies, you have a holistic picture of fans and you're tapping into, I mean, like 50% of the population
Right.
through understanding why they show up so that when it comes to insights or data or monetization strategies, you're doing it in a way that's actually moving the needle.
Okay.
And I mean, I always say like learning about your female fans is not a nice to have. It's not, you know, charity work. This is truly smart business. And you're leaving money on the table by not tapping into female fans.
Right.
And then I think when it comes to really like the origin story, I was the only girl on an all boys soccer team. I'm an immigrant. My parents are immigrants. We weren't born in Canada, but my dad was actually a huge advocate and still is to this day about like being involved in sports and like
Yes.
playing sports. And so, yeah, I grew up playing soccer. You know, I do kickboxing. I do half marathons. I'm very heavily involved in sports, both playing, watching, consuming, truly like multiple sports. And in 2024, like end of 2024, I took part in a national AI hackathon. I do not know how to code. I'm not a technical person. 75 women across Canada competed, and I ended up winning first place. And
So wait a second.
yeah.
Why did you sign up for that if you're not a coder?
I mean, I think this goes back to your earlier question about the pivot.
Okay.
Where it's like, I've always been someone who has pushed myself outside the norm.
Yes.
And like done things that people would be like, WTF, like what?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Totally.
And like, and even when I went into that hackathon, it was over a week long. You have to, it's, you know, 0 to launch. So you have to start a business from scratch.
Ouch.
We had like IBM involved teaching us how to build like AI agents, learning how to design product and user experience and all of that. Like I went into it with like, do it scared. Like, even though you have no idea how to do any of this,
Yes.
just put yourself out there and do it anyway.
Right.
And that was truly like my motto, like every single day. And I think like I would say like I was gonna be like, oh, I'm so glad I did it, but that would be like an understatement. I'm so proud of myself for pushing through the fear.
Yes.
And fear is multiple, you know, of like of not knowing, of the unknown, of doing something that I've never done before, and then what happens on the other side of it and coming on the other side of it.
Right.
And like truly having no expectations of what it was going to be.
That's the big.
You know, of like, oh, I need to be in the top 5, or this is the measurement of success. And if I'm not in the top 5, that means it was a total failure, and that means it's never going to work out. And why did you even try? Like, why did you even go for it, knowing that you're not a coder, you're not technical? And so, you know, like all of that inner critic, that inner narrative that stops you from doing the thing, it's like, start before you're ready.
Right.
Like you're never actually going to be ready. So do it anyway, and don't hold yourself back from it, you know?
But even if you had come 75th out of 75, you were still in an arena that was outside of your comfort zone. And I have to assume that there was other people in there who were coders. Is that about right?
Yes, yeah.
And they're like, are you kidding me? Right? Their expectations would have been totally different than yours. But the fact that you went in scared, with eyes wide open, so what's the worst that can happen, which is really nothing. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah. And it worked.
So was FanVerse the idea that you went in with?
Like FanVerse, how would I say this? It was called FanVerse. It was different than what it looked like today.
Okay.
Which I would say even that's something that you can relate with, i.e. what FanVerse looked like then to what FanVerse looked like 6 months ago to what FanVerse looks like today.
Yes.
It's multiple iterations.
Constantly evolving.
Yes. Which is one of the hardest things to get with as a founder and as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Is that it is not static or stagnant.
No.
It is something that is fluid and ever evolving, and like you are constantly improving and iterating on.
Yes.
And I think, you know, there's so many transferable skills that being a lawyer taught me.
Oh, absolutely.
I would say like being very research heavy, detail oriented, meticulous has been great. And also some of the things that have not been great is how rigid and structured I learned to be as a lawyer.
Yes.
And how I'm just like, you have to throw things away.
Yes.
You have to be, you know, so open to feedback, so open to discerning what feedback makes sense, what feedback you're going to take on, not getting swayed by, you know, multiple people's opinions, changing the business model, being able to say like, I don't know to a question.
Right.
And truly like constantly having to do things I've never done before.
Yes.
Like I could say for a fact that every single day of being an entrepreneur has involved something that I could not, like, didn't know how to do, couldn't answer yesterday, where I'm like, hey, like, we just got to learn this, or we got to figure this out, or we have to do some research or some digging, or asking people around me who've done it before or may know someone who has experience or expertise, to be able to lend their feedback or their opinion or their thoughts on this thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think like when I was part of this hackathon, there was a concept similar to like fan personalization and fan engagement as it relates to women. But it's funny because even after I won the hackathon, I still didn't launch FanVerse. Like I was kind of like, okay, like
that was fun.
Literally, I was like, that was fun. Like I did that thing.
Look
like
at me
super
go.
cool, great. But you know, we can't. Like, what do you mean you can't
not
actually
real.
do that? It's
Yeah.
not real. It's not real. And part of the hackathon, we had to conduct market research and like market validation.
Okay.
So we like put out a survey for people to talk about their, you know, fan experiences, what they faced as a fan, things like that. And so many of the people who filled out those surveys were the ones days, weeks, months after being like, so, hey, like I filled out that thing. What's going on? Like, are you doing anything with this? Are you, like, I haven't heard back. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, interesting.
So about that?
Yeah, right. Like I was like, oh, I like people actually want this. Like people actually wanted me to do something with this. And so yeah, like truly it was, you know, a lot of women talking about toxic masculinity that they face at bars, or like I'll walk into a bar and people are like, drop 5 names and they don't think that I know enough about sports, or I don't know all of the stats or the scores, and like I don't really feel like I have a community, or I am a fan, but like I don't have anyone really to go to the games with. So I kind of just like sit on my couch and like watch when I want to. So many just like dads with young girls who are like, I want more representation and role models. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yes.
And it was just like story upon story upon story of like people who are like, you should be doing something with this.
Yes.
Like, why aren't you? And so when we first started FanVerse, we were partnering with teams and leagues to host activations for women across North America. And we chose very non-traditional venues based upon a lot of the feedback that we were receiving.
Okay.
So like a motorcycle shop in Brooklyn, or like a sneaker shop in Toronto, like spaces that, and maybe to even go into that a little bit further, because I think this is where it becomes so nuanced and complex, the way that, and multifaceted, the way women experience fandom is when you go into a bar, because you often either go with someone, or even if you don't go with someone, you're kind of like sitting in groups or tables.
Yes.
There's no exchange or community that's happening. Everyone's already kind of in a clique.
Yes.
Everyone kind of already has their group. No one's really talking to each other or like mingling with each other. In for example, a motorcycle shop or a sneaker shop or a store, you actually have to talk to people around you, because many of these spaces are open. Or the way that we would like curate experiences, if let's say if it was a sneaker shop, like if you're at a rack and let's say you're like looking through merchandise and you're like trying something on, there's people around you who are giving you feedback. There's people around you who are like, oh my God, that looks so cute.
looks so
Or
good. Yeah.
you should be trying this color, or those sneakers, you know, with that fit would look really, really great on you. There is this like organic conversation that starts to happen amongst women when you create the space for that. And so that was wildly fascinating, because the data started to show that over 30% of women who were coming to our activations knew nothing about the sport, had never watched the sport before, or came on their own. And we were able to convert them into social fans.
Yes.
Fans who were buying tickets, buying merch, who met people at these activations and then would go on to watch games with, or go to a bar, or go to a stadium, and share the experience on socials. And I think that's where I was like, wait a second, that conversion moment of this casual viewer into someone that is a fan, it wasn't that these women were not fans. They just didn't fit the traditional mold of a sports fan.
Right.
And like, I like have this blanket statement where I actually think everyone is a sports fan. We just have multiple points to entry.
Yes.
And multiple ways of experiencing that fandom. And traditionally, we've just not valued the way predominantly women experience fandom.
Yes.
Because we may be into like the tea or the lifestyle or the culture or the fashion. And that's just not been something that's been measured or mapped by the sports industry.
No.
When in fact, that is a way that tons of women experience fandom. And when we think about the buying power, the purchasing power,
Totally.
the momentum of women, like it's a disservice, not just to your bottom line, but to fan engagement, to the way that we think about sports as something that's unifying and brings people together,
Yes.
to not actually take that into account. So I feel like I've done a whole lot of talking, thinking
it's
about the
great.
origin story of FanVerse. Yeah.
That's really, really good. And I mean, if you want to experience what that community looks like, you spend 5 minutes in an Aritzia change room and you will see women giving feedback to other women, strangers to strangers, and women value the opinion of the stranger over the salesperson.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And particularly as you look at Gen Zs who will accept the peer review and the influencer opinion more than the brand opinion. I mean, you're absolutely dialing in to how women consume, have conversations, how they support each other is completely different than the other side of the aisle.
Totally. And I think, when I have a lot of conversations with people, when it comes to men, many of them do share. Yeah, like I would totally go into a bar on my own. Like I have no problem doing that. Women experience fandom in community.
Yes.
It is what gives them that sense of I belong to this community or I belong to this team, or even in the conversations itself, whether it's the way that I'm expressing myself through my fashion or through my jewelry or through my sneakers. It's all to create and cultivate this sense of belongingness. And I think like that is that key metric that's just like been missing for so long. Because even when you talk about that space of like an Aritzia change room and talking to people about how you look or what you should pair this with, or like, does this go together? All of that is also just built on this idea of like, belongingness. Like I want to express myself in a way that's authentic. I want this to be a representation of me. I want to like put my best foot forward. And so, I'm going to, look at the opinions of others, or what was my favorite influencer or creator wearing? Does my favorite influencer or creator support this team? Because I may be more inclined to then support that team because they're into it.
Right.
And I mean, there's so many stats and articles that talk about that women are more inclined to follow brands that invest their dollars and their capital into women's sports.
Yes.
And so, like there's such a huge opportunity there when it comes to the way brands are thinking about where they should be putting their money.
Yes.
Because we as fans and as consumers are always looking to like values aligned or authentic expression, or who is doing something that I'm into or is wearing something that I'm into or is talking about something that I'm into, because like that's where I'm going to put not just my dollars, but my attention, my energy, my time, my bandwidth. And like that is a catalyst again for the sports industry to really be paying attention to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the fact that women's sports, particularly here in North America, is on an absolute tear, right? We've got the Northern Super League and women's soccer, they got PWHL in hockey, and it just keeps growing. And so people are having these conversations more and more. That must help.
Yeah.
But you're talking not just partnerships and sponsorships and fandom of women's sports, but of all sport.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Okay, so it's not, but the fact that women's sports is doing so well is probably a little bit of extra wind in your sails, I would hope.
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
And I mean, I think that also when it comes to the playbook of women's sports is very different from men's sports. I think conversations that I've had with women's sports teams versus men's sports teams, that's, I would say, like, also interesting in terms of with a lot of men's sports teams, they're often very traditional, not as flexible when they think about, you know, using different tools or thinking about their fans differently.
Right.
Whereas I think with a lot of women's sports teams and emerging leagues, there's just this openness to trying something new and trying something different.
Yes.
And I think we're seeing, you know, you mentioned the PWHL, like the expansion of the number of teams within the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible the way that they're breaking records, not just attendance, but again, like the way that they've expanded over less than 3 years. I 100% think that women's sports are setting new benchmarks and markers of fans and the way that we think about our fans and the way that we include our fans. Because even, you know, like I could go on a whole tangent about the women who I've spoken to who've grown up with men's teams.
Yes.
And now the women's team has come along and it's like, I thought I was a sports fan, but now I can like truly call myself a fan.
Agreed.
Because I've just never felt like I belong in the space. Like I'm included. Like
totally.
They're thinking about me.
Yeah, in a totally different way.
In a totally different way.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt this.
No.
And the way that's unlocked, I know about the players. I can tell you what a foul is now.
Right.
Like I can use that language, that jargon.
Yes.
I am so invested in the sport in a way that I have that I just like truly have never been.
Right.
You know, and like that I think has been so interesting. Has just been so interesting to hear. Yeah, just this idea of like, oh, I now know what it means to like be a fan.
A real fan.
A real fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the systems are not necessarily or have not been set up to attract female fans. I mean, I used to follow the NFL for years, and it was because I started watching it with my dad on Sundays, and that was great. But I was like an anomaly because I was really into it. I was into the players. I would go to the games. I loved it. But there was none of the marketing, none of the merchandising, none of that was directed to me. I would just consume what was forced upon us. Right? There wasn't really much of an option. I've obviously followed the Leafs and the Raptors here in Toronto, gone to quite a few Raptors games. But I just went to a Toronto Tempo WNBA game. And it was different. It was totally different. The interaction with the players. But what jumped out immediately was the sponsors. All of a sudden, there was like, it was sponsored by Sephora. I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Then sponsored by Tampax. And it's not a t-shirt drop. They're throwing boxes of Tampax into the audience. And I was like, God. Yes. But would you see that at another? No, not in a million years.
Oh, God, I love that.
But I was like, you know exactly who's here. And oh, by the way, most of the people in the audience were females.
Yes.
And yes, I understand it's their first year and everything, but it was just exciting to see a the game is like, it's still is basketball.
Yep. Yep.
But the whole engagement, if I was to pick a sport to go to, I'd go to that.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I felt like I belonged, I was seen, I was valued, right? I wasn't being preached to.
Yeah.
It was all of a sudden they figured out. Now you take that beyond the arena.
Right.
Now what do they do? Right?
Yes. Yes. And I think, and I mean, even to the point of, for a lot of men's teams and men's leagues, we see roughly, like I would say, like 35 to like 45% of the fan base are actually women. Even though we haven't been targeted, even though they've been built when it comes to their tools and systems with the default assumption that the fan is male.
Yes.
We have still created our own community or our own path to experience that type of fandom. What I always come back to is women are, when it comes to their buying power and when it comes to their spend, they drive 80% of consumer spend, with sports being the fastest growing sector.
Amazing.
So when you tell me that, okay, your existing fan base is in the ballpark of 35 to 45%, and there is an entirely untapped fan base of women
Yes.
who, if you targeted them or if you engage with them in a way that landed and resonated, that they would, again, invest their time, attention, capital, and dollars. Like, I'm like, the math just makes sense.
Yes.
And yet what you're doing doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned merch. I'm a huge F1 fan.
Right.
I, have gone to the Montreal Grand Prix.
Yes.
I've gone to the Vegas Grand Prix. Both of the bomber jackets that I've bought, any merch that I've bought, has all been men's size small.
Yes.
Why is that the case?
Yeah.
Why are my only options when I go ready to spend money is like a standard kind of boxed jersey?
Right.
Why aren't there more options available for me?
Yes.
Knowing again, buying power, purchasing power, I'm literally going to spend money and you're leaving money on the table.
Correct.
And I'm not the only, person who is experiencing this.
Yeah.
So it like, it's about time that we do something different. When we look at the great wealth transfer over the next 5 years, women are going to control 75% of discretionary spend. Like, we drive a lot of the decision making.
Yes.
When it comes to kids being put in like a soccer clinic or equipment, or I even talk with so many people about like, oh, my partner is into, Sunday football. So I'm going to make sure everything is set up so that we're ready to go on game day. Like, so many of the decisions are being made by women, and yet once again, we're not targeting that, we're not valuing that, we're not monetizing that. And I think a word, coming back to that word of value, what you're describing when you tell me about going to the tempo game that I've experienced, that I know a lot of women experience, is just like this idea of like recognition.
Yes.
Like, I've never felt seen or like recognized in this way.
Right.
And to finally feel that, I would argue, I'm even more inclined to tell my friends, to tell my family, to buy merch, to support the athletes.
Yes.
Like, I'm so much more inclined.
Yes.
You will see me at the next game, or I will be a season ticket holder next year, or I can't wait to tell everyone around me about how much fun I had or how exciting it was.
Right.
So I'm like, that trickle effect, that catalyst that it creates when you feel like you're included and you belong is something that it's like really just about time that we value. Yeah.
Well, in many cases, when you look at the big sports leagues, if you were to go and buy a hockey jersey from an NHL team, the expression we used to use in my sports background was we would shrink it and pink it. Okay, so you can go and buy a Leafs jersey. It's a smaller version, but it's got pink. I was like, really? That's the answer. But that is what it has been.
Yeah.
And if that's the only option that from a merch standpoint, then so be it. But what you do at FanVerse is to open the leagues and the teams' minds to there's so much more that is within the women's fan journey that has nothing to do about what happens when she's in the arena.
Right.
Or buying merch or online, that there's so much more. And I know, I remember reading something about F1 and about people's nail color.
Oh my gosh. Before I go to a Grand Prix, not just a Grand Prix, like I'm like so many sporting events. I love getting my nails done. I really want a design, on my nails. They cost whatever, $150, $200, depending on who your manicurist and where you're going. Before the commercial value, the commercial signals that I'm sending as a consumer, before I even enter the gates or enter the stadium or enter the venue, should demonstrate the amount of money that I am spending on my nails, on my fit, on my hair, on making sure I have all the right makeup, like the things that, I want to wear or that I want to use, my skincare. Like all of those add up.
Yes.
Before I've even really hopped on the plane or left to go to the stadium or the venue, I am already spending money that's connected to, this is how I want to express myself, or this is my team, or this is my driver, this is my athlete. And these are the products that I'm using that are helping me to express myself in this certain way that feels very authentic and aligned with me.
Okay.
And like that, again, this is not just a me thing. There are so many women that I speak to, not just in F1, but let's say F1 fans who before they've even gone to Suzuka or Monaco, they're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars getting themselves ready because there is an excitement and joy about the race and the sport itself, but it's truly like, this is my fashion and my fit and the way that I again want to express myself. I feel like we continually highlight that because it's like, this is my like authentic self-expression identity.
Yes.
And I'm bringing that to the sport.
Correct.
And if you as a team are not looking at that at all, once again, you're really leaving money on the table by not.
You're kind of hoping that she comes in.
Yes.
And that she's going to buy the merch. But yet it's so much more. There's so much more in that whole consumer journey before heading out.
Before even heading out.
And so FanVerse is a tech platform.
Yes.
Which the second I say tech, my head goes into like, okay, I'm in way over my skis. But it takes all of the insights from fans and provides teams with insights into here's what's happening through the entire consumer journey.
Yes.
And that one of the last touch points is when they cross the threshold into the arena. But actually it's everything else you do before that and around it.
Totally.
Is that about right?
Yes. These teams, a lot of the data that they're tracking is first party data. So how many tickets did we sell? Who as in name and email address, merch, we're tracking like merch sales. A lot of them have this first party data. What they don't have is all of the other signals that you mentioned. And so we aggregate that and provide insights based upon that.
Okay.
Because if you're only tracking ticketing and merch, that is not a holistic picture of your fan base. And I often give this example. If you and your insights are based upon what you see on Ticketmaster, if my dad, let's say, buys tickets for me, my sister, and my mom, who are you seeing on the transaction? You're seeing my dad.
Yes.
What you're not seeing is we're buying the merch, we're actually spending money in stadium. We're the ones spending money outside of the stadium.
Yeah.
We're driving the decision making as to what time should we leave, where do we want to park, like what do we want our experience to actually be? And once again, that's half-baked information.
Yeah.
And you're making decisions based upon half-baked information and or assumptions.
Right.
Because you're leaving out that there's 3 other women who are part of this picture.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so many of the platforms that a lot of these teams are using, again, are showing them decisions and are showing them information where they're making decisions that are really often just like guesswork.
Yeah.
That like we think this is what like the fan journey or a fan map actually looks like. And it's not a complete picture of fandom, and therefore your outputs and your analysis are also not reflective of not just your fan base, but again, the people that you could be tapping into.
Yes.
There's so many people on the outskirts or on the outside who want in, but you've not actually created a way for them to come in.
Right.
And even to your earlier point of like, this idea of like shrink it and pink it, the reason why I was having such a time laughing is because I'm like, your approach to reaching women has been singular, i.e. reach women, when for all of the reasons that we've discussed, like there's so many multiple entry points to fandom.
Yes.
We're not a monolith, we're multifaceted. And so having the singular approach is not going to help your insights. It's not going to help your decision making. It's not going to help your strategic, you know, the way that you think about your strategies, because you're not actually accounting for all the other ways that we want in, that we are in, that we're ready to spend our money. And it's like that, it doesn't make sense to me because I've also been that fan.
Yes.
And now I'm like, oh, okay, like we really have to start thinking about fan intelligence and fan infrastructure in an entirely different way.
Correct.
And yes, you know, like I often say like we have a specific lens on female fans, but I'm like, building for women does not exclude everyone else.
No, it doesn't. At all.
At all.
It actually is probably more inclusive of others than any other.
Yes.
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 Right. Right. Because they are the decision maker. They're the spender. Like in the family, they have a major role to play.
Yes. Yes.
And so their impact is felt everywhere.
Everywhere. I love that point. I love the way you said that. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the idea of FanVerse obviously is directed towards insights into the female journey. Could those same insights be used for everyone's journey, or is it already to a degree being done, but only through a singular lens, which is for the male fan?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I often say that FanVerse is an additive layer, i.e., you've maxed out what you know about your male fans. You've been doing that. No one is telling you to replace that.
Yes.
What we are saying is it's about time that you look at the other half of the population.
Correct.
It's about time that you start not just valuing and monetizing her, but when we talk about fan personalization, fan segmentation, the fan journey, we are an additive layer because you're not optimizing for that and you haven't been looking at that.
Right.
And so, yes, I think to take that a step further, what we learn in sports, we want to be able to measure and map across live events, across gaming, across music, across the entertainment economy.
Okay, yes.
Because once again, like we've never created any type of cross-category data set on women and understood that in a way where our capital, time, attention, energy was influenced by it.
Yes.
And I think when I think about like the North Star of FanVerse, it's to really be that first cross-category intelligence layer where if I'm a fan of F1 and I watch the W and I don't know, I fly Air Canada and I have a Netflix subscription.
Yes.
Imagine if you could understand me as a fan and then personalize and segment me as a fan. Therefore, you could monetize me as a fan. And so I think so many of the learnings and takeaways that we're going to learn through sports is something that I want to see across different categories and how it influences different categories.
Right.
It's just that it's never like truly we are a first mover and are building and defining a new category in the way that we think about data intelligence. And I would say like, you know, just the other bit about that is like, if you can understand her, imagine if, and this is already something that we were internally doing, is before your ticket sales due, when does she disengage? What is that conversion moment that turns her from a casual viewer into a committed fan?
Right.
And again, before your ticket sales due, before all your merch sales due, how are we showing that through the data and through our intelligence so that you can then predict what to do next?
Yes.
I.e., okay, we see that she's disengaging. Why is she disengaging? And how can we mitigate that risk?
Right.
What is it a strategy? Is it a brand? Is it a sponsor? Is it a marketing campaign? Like what is that action step that we need to take based upon what the insight is showing us?
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the next level of personalization. So personalization used to be, we're going to give you an experience. We're going to do something, you know, from a retail lens. We're going to do something in store so you can, you know, feel like you quote unquote belong. But personalization, I found over the last 5 years particularly, has moved into automation and tracking. So it shows up online as, Leslie, we noticed that you like whatever, these kinds of sneakers. I was like, okay, that's you just tracking my behavior. It's not actually doing anything. It's not truly personalized. And when it's personalized, you know you're doing it right when it's a feeling.
Yes.
And you feel like you belong and you feel like you are valued. And if you do personalization right, people don't even notice. It's just somewhat intuitive. And so if you can use insights and analytics and intelligence to do that, that is, to me, that's the gold star. Because then that takes personalization to the level that it should be, which is nobody even notices. They only know because of how they feel.
Yeah.
And that's really hard
Yes.
to get to.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I feel like what you're also describing is one of the things that's really important for us at FanVerse and that I say often is we're not just tracking or measuring reach, we're measuring resonance. So it's not just about, is this reaching you? Like, are the algorithms working enough to be like, hey, Leslie, you need these shoes.
Right.
But is it actually resonating with you as a consumer, as a fan?
Right.
And I think that's where we move into personalization that becomes, yes, a little bit more like predictive and a little bit more fluid.
Yes.
Because it's a feeling. It's
Right.
an emotional affinity. It's a sentiment.
Yes.
Versus just kind of like, yeah, I guess so, or like I'm kind of into this.
Right.
And I think I think a lot of tools and a lot of when we talk about kind of like AI, it's been like it can there's reach or it can provide you with bits of information, but is it actually customized and tailored and personalized to you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because brands can buy reach.
Yeah.
Right? You can go out and get it. You can do all of that. But you can't buy a feeling and you can't buy a recommendation. And the recommendation is what women do
Yes.
so well.
Yeah.
right? You could sit here and tell me, here's the brands you need to buy. That will land 10 times heavier and more impactful for me than a brand telling me or a marketing campaign telling me or getting email delivered or things showing up on my phone. It'll be like, no. Person to person.
Yes.
That recommendation carries so much more weight.
Yes.
And the ability to do that through FanVerse, I think it's gold.
I like such a, I'm like so good that you said that. Because I'm literally just like, yes, like, I don't know. I think the sports industry talks a lot about like community and like building community. Yes. Like that is at the core of community,
yes.
You know, is that peer-to-peer, that recommendation, that like, someone that I know or someone that I like or someone that I follow or someone that is values aligned is doing this thing, is buying this thing, is investing in this thing. And therefore, like I want that.
Right.
Like I want to buy into that, you know?
There's somebody that I do not know who I follow on Instagram, and she puts really good styling and product reviews out there. And for some reason, everything she says totally lands. And she recommended a brand that was not on my radar, not even remotely close. And guess what? I went out. I went to the store. So I made the trek.
Right. Yes.
Right. So I actually got off my couch, made the trek, went into the store, bought something, then saw something else online and bought it again. So now they've got 2 purchases out of me because I trusted somebody online who made me like she talked the same language as me. That brand could have spent $1 million trying to get my attention and it wouldn't have landed. But it landed because this person.
Yeah.
That's how we consume.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very different from how we have been marketed.
Yes. Oh my gosh. 100%. A lot of the data that we're aggregating is off of socials, off of video, audio, social conversations.
Okay.
And for that very reason, because it's not enough to, like stick a logo on a t-shirt, or it's not enough to, again, think about like your idea of fandom or where you're spending your money in just one way.
Yeah.
Because even though you've never met her, you probably won't meet her. As you said, there's something in the language, in the jargon, in the content that she's putting out there that is landing with you, that is influencing and impacting the decisions that you're making.
Correct. Exactly.
And that is so, for me, like wildly fascinating. Because there's, like Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, Substack. There's also Pinterest, the mood boards that women are putting out there. There's literally an aesthetic for every single sport about what should I wear, how should I, what outfit should I be putting together.
Yes.
You can have conversations with people. Like it's so interesting to me because for all of the reasons that you mentioned of like, okay, so you saw enough pieces of content and you got that feeling in it and it resonated with you, not just reached you, but resonated with you, that made you then go to, actually make those key decisions and make that sale. And like, I probably can say like, that's not going to be your last purchase.
No.
No,
they're now on my radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I imagine you're telling me this. I'm
telling tons of people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Or like when you do wear it and you get compliments or people asking you, it's like, that brand. It's compounded in a way that, to your earlier point, they could have done a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
That would never have landed or resonated with you in this way. Ever.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So What's your ultimate dream with FanVerse?
What is my ultimate dream with FanVerse?
I mean, world domination. Let's go.
Totally. $1 billion company, world domination.
Excellent. Okay.
Which I think is important as women to say out loud. I mean, for sure, the core ethos is like that women feel like they belong, that women fandom is celebrated and valued in all the ways.
Yes.
And that like, I mean, it's, you said it earlier, but like, we're not just about women's sports. We're about all sports.
All sports.
All sports. And like, I think that's like an interim dream for sure, is that men's team or that men's league, like who is in a way going to be our first partner on that journey. I think that's really exciting.
Agreed.
But it's celebrating and valuing women as fans and as consumers and as purchasers.
And do you find that sport, to a degree, is recession proof? And I use that term very lightly. I mean, if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, like you're a fan. And it doesn't mean that you can necessarily afford to, I mean, most people can't afford to go to a game, let's be honest. But that if you can't afford to step in the arena, that there's still a lot of things that you do to showcase your fandom. And that, things can be really tough economically and all of that. But the experience of sport that transcends whatever is going on in your world, I have to think that there's a bit of a cushion versus everything else going on. And it's right now, I got to say, it's a really good escape. From some of the news cycle.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think sports has such an incredible way of unifying people.
Yes.
Even when I look to this week alone with the NBA finals, the NHL finals, FIFA. Yeah. The US Women's Open just finished. It's the F1 Grand Prix in Monaco was just this past weekend. Like, this is just like 1 week where cities, especially, and I shouldn't just say especially with FIFA, because I would say like, we're seeing this across different sports, but cities around the world are congregating and coming together in community in ways that are local, are national, are international, are new, are like not new, no matter the demographic, no matter what you look like, no matter your age, are coming together to watch sports.
Yes.
And like, that type of collective unification is just, it is so priceless.
Yes.
I particularly have been following like the NBA finals. The Knicks haven't won in 53 years.
Yes.
New York is one of the most diverse cities in the world. And I mean, my gosh, the way like each, and it's funny because they were even joking about this online, like don't say that New York is made up of different boroughs, it's made up of different cities.
Yes.
Because they're all so electric and alive and dynamic. I mean, it has captured my attention in a way that, like, I'm obviously like a Toronto Raptors girl, and yet I am following the finals, like as if Knicks, like I am a Knicks fan. Knicks is my team,
right?
And I just, like I think the conversations that I'm having with other people, the way that I'm looking at like what are the hot takes, learning about the athletes, learning about the history and of the Knicks, and learning about like Wembanyama. Like it's just, sports has a way of doing that. And I think, and of course with FIFA over the next month, we're going to see it do that. So I think sports is so needed, particularly in the world that we live in today, with today's news cycles and what's going on, that like it just, it brings us together in a way that also, I would say, highlights like certain things that are happening politically that are not okay.
Right.
And us being able to have those conversations. And I think like joy is such a necessary, is so necessary.
Agreed.
And my gosh, the feeling like, yeah, when you experience fandom or when your team is playing or when you're out with your friends, like the joy that gives you of being with people.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, it's a necessity. Like truly, it's a necessity.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that the Knicks win, because that might, I mean, if the Red Sox won, the World Series years ago and beat the curse of the Bambino, and the Knicks win after 50, like maybe there is hope for the Leafs, like in our lifetime. And I live with a ardent Leafs fan, so every fingers and toes are crossed in hopes that works. But I think about the Olympics, to me, it's every 2 years. And for those 2 weeks, we are glued to our TV.
Yep.
And then the Olympics are over. And it's like, oh, I have time now.
Right. Yeah.
But this past Olympics, like we spent an inordinate amount of time watching sports that I had to learn about, cheering on athletes from countries where I was like, I need to Google where that is.
Yes.
And yet the whole world for those 2 weeks was focused on the Olympics, and then took a break, and then the Paralympics. Like that was in every household. And I think that's the beauty to me of sport, is it's a moment in time, but it puts everything in perspective of how incredible and fortunate we are as humans, and to be part of sport is just awesome. So my last question for you, because quite frankly, we could talk about this for 24 hours. My last question is, what, in looking at your journey from, okay, I did the AI hackathon, I've, not doing the corporate, now we're going to jump all the way into FanVerse with every fiber of your being. What would be your words of wisdom for the audience?
I think it would go back to even if you're scared, do it anyway.
Right.
Like I think fear has such a way of holding us back, and keeping us from doing the thing or moving forward or saying the thing that's out of norm.
Yes.
And I'm a believer in a way like confronting and embracing that fear, because I don't think the fear like it never goes away.
No.
But I think when we learn to be deeply introspective about whose voice is that, like, is that actually my voice? Am I the one who's actually saying you can't do this, or you're not worthy, or it's not going to work out? Whose voice is that actually? Where is it actually coming from?
Yes.
How can we neutralize that fear? And scared, do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Because, my gosh, the things that like we hold ourselves back from or don't do because we're scared of what other people might think, or what other people might say, or if it doesn't work out, or hypothesizing things that haven't actually even happened.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, this has been a pleasure, a real pleasure to have this conversation. And I think it's incredible that you did the hackathon first, that you did it, but then also that you ended up winning, and the outcome being FanVerse, and you're having conversations with teams and brands about a really important topic of this, like 50% of the population. You want growth. That's where the growth is going to come from. And so I wish you and FanVerse, honestly, I will be a huge cheerleader of yours. I wish you nothing but the best. And world domination, $1 billion business, like, let's go.
Yeah.
We're cheering you on.
I appreciate you. This
Thank
has
you.
been, so good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so impressed with Ashima and what she has built with FanVerse. But more than that, I'm impressed by her courage to push through the fear, signing up for an AI hackathon, and winning the whole damn thing. The power of the female fan has long been ignored, and yes, I speak from experience. And I look forward to the day when sports leagues, teams, and the entire sports industry finally truly sees her, the fan, the business driver, the key to future growth. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone you care about, and be sure to subscribe so you can continue to hear more pivotal stories involving one question, one turning point, one powerful story. I'll see you next week with another guest on the Leslie Hawkins Podcast.